Denny, I think in his podcast, said that he didn't even know I was there. When he came into my view, he's carrying more speed than I am.
Austin Dillon has finally opened up and spoken out about what happened last weekend, and it's safe to say his words were shocking and revealing at least. Could this come back to haunt him and result in more penalties from NASCAR? And will we see him in the future? Austin Dillon first discussed the SMT data from the accident with Denny Hamlin at Richmond Raceway on Sunday. The veteran NASCAR driver discussed it with Dale Earnhardt Jr., following his win in the Cup Series race that wrecked Hamlin and Joey Logano, but lost him his playoff spot. Let's go back to going into Turn 3. Obviously, I'm doing everything I can to try and give my team a shot to win, Dillon said. I'm trying to get Joey loose. As I go in the corner, got a lot of speed, but actually I kind of had the car under control pretty good with a hard entry. I end up second lane middle when I get the car pointed to come back down the hill. On exit of Turn 4 at Richmond, the track naturally drives you to the wall when you're running the yellow line. Denny's on the lower line. I've got a really good diamond kind of angle at the track at this point. So my vision is clear still, and I'm looking at the start-finish line. But my straightest point to the start-finish line is about mid-track, which isn't optimal for the guy coming up the track. Denny, I think in his podcast, said that he didn't even know I was there. When he came into my view, he's carrying more speed than I am. If he clears me a little bit further, none of this happens. If he's half a car length further back, he takes me to the wall with him and we crash at the wall.
There's the contact! He love it on the inside! He gets into the wall! Dillon's gonna win it at the law!
Austin Dillon shares more on wreck with Denny Hamlin. When he comes up, I'm headed to the same angle as I am. His right rear catches my left front. At that point, if I hold the wheel right, I'm going this way. I'm trying to turn my car to keep the same direction I'm going at that point.
When he comes up, I'm headed to the same angle as I am. His right rear catches my left front. At that point, if I hold the wheel right, I'm going this way.
Dillon also expressed regret for wrecking Hamlin after defending him on the Actions Detrimental podcast earlier this year when he was not driving well. Bozi Tatarovic, a pit crew member, revealed the SMT data on Monday. According to the statistics, Dillon needed to adjust his racing line to make contact with Hamlin. It doesn't imply Dillon purposely struck Hamlin, but the fact that he turned down more on the lap than the previous lap is interesting. Dillon also talked about the controversial messages from his spotter that resulted in a 3-race ban. As far as my spotter, I talked to him, and I truly think for all of us, the emotions were really high in our situation for the 3 car. We've been beat up, banged up for a while now, and with 2 laps to go, we had a 3-second lead at Richmond, and a caution comes out that probably shouldn't have ever happened. But it did. And then now we're here talking about things that take away from the car that we really had, and the opportunity that we took.
I'm trying to turn my car to keep the same direction I'm going. At that point, the Denny part, I hate it. Denny protected me earlier this year on his podcast when times were really tough.
So, after all this, NASCAR decided to strip Dillon from his right to enter playoffs with this win, and following NASCAR's decision, Richard Childress Racing has indicated that it will appeal. RCR responded to the news via their official X account. Richard Childress Racing is very disappointed in NASCAR's penalty against the number 3 team, according to the Post. We do not agree with the decision that was made and plan to appeal. The intention is good. Everybody within RCR would want that playoff spot back, but according to Fox Sports' Bob Pockris, it won't happen. I don't think RCR has a good chance to win appeal because hard to say NASCAR ruled differently in other similar situations, because not many other similar situations and rules give NASCAR latitude to make the decision, wrote Pockras, but never say never. Dillon crashed Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano before winning Sunday's Cookout 400 at Richmond Raceway. The victory earned Dillon a playoff spot, but NASCAR revoked it on Wednesday, docking Dillon and RCR 25 points in the drivers' and owners' standings. I think in all due respect to the appeal process, we looked at this and the totality of everything that happened as you enter Turn 3 and as the cars got to the start-finish line, NASCAR Vice President of Competition Elton Sawyer said. So, as we looked through all of that data, we came to the conclusion that a line had been crossed. Our sport has been based going for many, many years, forever, on good, hard racing. Contact has been acceptable. We felt like, in this case, that the line was crossed. After the race, Dillon's crew chief, Justin Alexander, responded to the finish. I'll be honest with you, I have not even seen any of it, he said. The last I saw, we were going into 3. I kind of looked down for a second thinking it was over. I was trying to watch him. I didn't see anything. All I saw was them cross the start-finish line. I haven't seen anything on the finish.
We've had speed all weekend. We had speed, and it's just a testament to everyone at RCR with all the hard work they put in these 2 off weeks.
RCR owner Richard Childress appeared to justify Dillon's behavior. "It's racing. They would do it to him, I promise you," Childress said during the post-race press conference. "If he would have been leading it, that 22 would have moved him out of the way. The 11 would have moved him out of the way. Either one of them would have done the same thing. I've seen it before." "You have to. Seen it right here at Richmond. Clint Bowyer won the race the night I think it was 88 and 18 knocked each other out of the way. He come under him and won the race on the last lap. You just think back of history."
I said, "Oh man," I said, "We'll leave it up." I didn't do anything but just waited to restart, and the 22 jumped outside and got in front.
What do you think? Have NASCAR gone too far with this decision? NASCAR canceled Austin Dillon's playoff status, sparking an intriguing dispute between 2 insiders from The Athletic. Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck discussed their thoughts to the news, with Bianchi stating that NASCAR must exercise caution when making such major choices. "What happened on Sunday crossed a line by any measure. There is no doubt about that. Whatever that line is, and that still is a really vague thing that I would like a little bit more defining to, that crossed it." Bianchi talked about Dillon wrecking Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano to win at Richmond. "We have to be careful what you ask for. You want officials to be more involved. You want them to make these balls and strikes calls on these kinds of offenses. Well, be careful because now that they've done it once, the Pandora's box has been opened. There's expectation now that they're going to have to do this going forward on a consistent basis. And the thing we talk a lot about when it comes to NASCAR officiating is consistency, or lack thereof sometimes. That concerns me because I do not want sports over-officiated. I don't like gray area, and I understand that's unavoidable. And yes, I know what happened Sunday was very obvious. I agree actually with the 80% that voted the penalties, and I get that. But there's going to come a time in the not-too-distant future where there's going to be a less obvious call, and it's going to be made, and we're going to sit there and go, boy, are you sure about that one? Gluck said that NASCAR made the correct decision because it needed to take a firm stand. Had this not been penalized, had there not been a penalty for this, then it sort of becomes like, well, who says okay, it's the wrong way? It's not ethical, but I'm going to do it because what's to stop me, Gluck explained. You know they're not going to penalize it. You know they're not going to do anything about it. If you can love with people being mad at you and talking bad about you, but you're still the champion, who cares? As said, Dillon's team, Richard Childress Racing, intends to fight NASCAR's decision to withhold the playoff berth. He was ranked 13th in the playoff rankings, but the verdict cuts the number of playoff qualifiers to 12. Do you think they will win a fight against the ruling, or are they doomed? And if so, can Austin Dillon win another race to secure a playoff spot? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.